Alright, this module we're going to be covering natural notes on your fretboard. While this one's essential for beginners, even if you've been playing for a while, you may find this really useful. Through teaching privately for more than 20 years, I've run across a lot of players that even though they've been playing for a long time, still aren't comfortable with the location of all the natural notes on their fretboard. And they should be. I mean, it's as simple as knowing that there's no sharp or flat between E and F and B and C. That's it. And once you manage that 3-second lesson, it's just a matter of applying it to the rest of your strings and looking at the fretboard in a different perspective, much like everything else that we cover in these modules. And the super cool bonus about doing so is that you may think you just learned your natural notes on your fretboard, but actually you've learned way more. So, with that in mind, let's get going. I'm sure most of you know already that 1 fret on a single string is a half step. 2 frets on a single string is a whole step. With that in mind, every natural note has a whole step in between it, except for B and C and E and F. Those two sets only have a half step between them, so that's 1 fret. So if you're looking at a single string, you're going to have 2 frets between every natural note with the exception of E to F and B to C. We're going to look at this on our low E string from the open to the 12th fret. We'd have 1 half step or 1 fret between E and F, 2 frets or a whole step between F to G, 2 frets or a whole step between G to A, 2 frets or a whole step between A to B, 1 fret or a half step between B and C, 2 frets or a whole step between C and D, and another whole step 2 frets between D and E. Of course, for every set of 2 notes that has a whole step between it, on that fret in between those 2 notes, there will be an accidental, and that means it will be either the sharp of the note below or the flat of the note above. So if you were looking at the 2nd fret on the low E, that would be either an F sharp note or a G flat note. But that's really not what we're concerned about today. We just want to learn the natural notes. So just keep in mind that the only 2 sets of notes that don't have a sharp or a flat between them are E and F and B and C. Okay, so let's take a look at the notes once again on the low E string up to the 12th fret. Once you've got that memorized, let's take a look at the notes on the A string. Now you see that it follows the exact same order, no sharp or flat between B and C and E and F. The only difference is that this time you're starting on A instead of on E. Now, one thing a lot of people don't realize at first is that when you look at 2 strings together, it's actually a lot of repeated material. You really only have to learn 3 new notes when you go from the E string to the A string once you've got the E down. You only have to learn F, G, and A, the last 3 notes on the 8th, 10th, and 12th fret on the A string. Those are the only new notes to learn. The A, the B, the C, the D, and the E are all repeated from the low E string. Take a look at the A string again. Let's go ahead and move on to the D string. Once again, you'll see that the half steps and whole steps are exactly the same as on the A string, no sharp or flat between E and F and B and C. The only difference is that now we start on a D note. Looking at both strings together, you'll see that you only have to learn B, C, and D. Those are the only new notes. The D, E, F, G, and A moving from the A to the D string are all the same pitches. Here's the D string by itself again, and now onto the G string. Of course, it's the same order, just starting on the G. Looking at the D and G together, you'll only have to learn E, F, and G on the 9th, 10th, and 12th frets on the G string. The G, the A, the B, the C, and the D are all shared from the D string to the G string. Back to the G string by itself, and now onto the B string. And here are the notes that the 2 strings share. You can see that when you learn the B string, you only have to learn 2 notes this time, the A and the B at the 10th and 12th fret on the B string. The B, the C, the D, the E, the F, and the G are all shared. Back to the B string by itself, and now on to the high E. Of course, the high E's got the same notes as the low E string does. They're just 2 octaves higher in pitch, but it's the exact same note name information. And here are the notes that the 2 strings share. You can see that learning the high E, you only had to learn the C, the D, and the E on the 8th, 10th, and 12th frets in the high E. The E, F, G, A, and B are all shared pitches. So we combine this information for each string from the open to the 12th fret. This is what you've learned just by knowing that there's no sharp or flat between E and F and B and C. Now, of course, what takes place between the open to the 12th fret is repeated from the 12th fret to the 24th fret. So if you combine these 2 things, you actually have learned the entire fretboard. Simple, eh? Now, the really cool thing about learning your natural notes on the fretboard is that you've actually learned way more than just those note locations. You've learned arpeggios, scales, chord voicings, you name it. It's just a matter of how you look at the information. Now, included with this module, there's an application that you can run to see what I'm talking about. But for instance, let's just say I started on any note on the low E string and played 3 notes on a string and then went to the next string without repeating a note. If I work this all the way across the fretboard, I would actually have all my 3 note per string patterns for major scale based modes. Let's take a look at this on the fretboard. Here's my 3-note per string pattern starting on E. Here's a 3-note per string pattern starting on F. Here's a 3-note per string pattern starting on G. 3-note per string pattern starting on A. 3-note per string pattern starting on B. 3-note per string pattern starting on C. 3-note per string pattern starting on D. And of course this information repeats after the 12th fret. Okay, I just want to talk a little bit about the application that comes with this module. It's basically a tool for displaying all the notes, the natural notes on your fretboard, no sharps, no flats, and everything's related to the key of C major. So you can see over here that you've got notes and intervals, and like I said, this is all in relation to the key of C major. So you know, D would be your second, D would be your third, F would be your fourth, G would be your fifth, A would be your sixth, B would be your seventh, and then all these intervals down here in relation to C as well. And just by clicking on something, it'll go ahead and display it over the whole fretboard. And then if you click it again, it'll bring up the complete fretboard, so you can see how the two relate to each other real easily. Now over here we've got arpeggios or triads. We start with triad arpeggios, just major, minor, and diminished. And then on the bottom you've got seventh arpeggios, major seventh, minor seventh, dominant seventh, and minor seventh, flat 5. When you click on things, it's going to show the structure as it relates to itself. For instance, D minor triad would have a root, a minor third, and a perfect fifth, or D, F, and A here. But in relation to the C major scale, it's the second, the fourth, and the sixth of the scale. You can see that by toggling it back and forth. And as I said, you've got seventh arpeggios down here. And then over here it talks a bit about scales. And over here you'll find major pentatonic, minor pentatonic, and then all the modes that are diatonic to the major scale. Of course, everything being in relation to C major again. And here are your modes. And then over here, after the name of the scale, it'll show you the structure for that particular scale or mode. And then again over here, it's in relation to the scale degrees of C major. For instance, like Lydian starts in the fourth of the major scale. It's the fourth mode of the major scale. So anyway, hopefully it's just something handy, help you visualize your notes, intervals, triad arpeggios, seventh arpeggios, pentatonic scales, and diatonic modes. And you've learned all this information, all the different intervals, triad arpeggios, seventh arpeggios, pentatonic scales, and modes just by memorizing your natural notes on the fretboard, which was as simple as learning that there's no sharp or flat between E and F and B and C, and there's a whole step between every other two notes. Pretty simple. Now obviously we haven't gone into depth in this module concerning the different types of intervals and triads and seventh arpeggios, pentatonic scales, and modes. I mean, this is actually just to get your feet wet with understanding your notes on the fretboard. Because if you understand that, it's going to be a lot easier to pick up on all those different topics as we get into them in future modules. Anyway, that's it for this module. Hope you dug it. Check the site for details for upcoming modules, and we'll catch you later.